Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime, here with my next Boruto Anime episode review. This one's going to be for episode 16, which is called Crisis, the Threat of Failing. And yeah, for what I suppose most people are calling like a filler episode, this was actually surprisingly well done. Simple, to the point, but I think very much emphasizing how when you get the simplicity right and do it well, it makes for a good episode, and it did that really well. Like it brought Iwabe and Denki, who were kind of new characters introduced primarily in like the first couple of episodes, and we haven't really seen a ton of them since then, and really kind of fleshed them out a little bit more. You know, their arcs aren't particularly like huge or kind of complicated, but just made them a little bit more interesting by kind of establishing this connection between the two, and that clearly once they decide on all the ninja teams, those two are definitely going to be on the team together. I think that's one of the big takeaways from this episode. And just a very simple thing of it being Denki, who is the one who excels at the written tests, but struggles with some of the physical stuff, the ninjutsu, and then Iwabe, who struggles with the written tests but excels at ninjutsu. That was a very well done kind of little thing, and the obvious thing of like the two of them should tutor each other on the thing that they're weak at, but they kind of add some complexities into it where it's Denki realizing that he might fail the graduation test and he might have to repeat, and he kind of adds in, like Iwabe, I don't think Denki meant anything by it, but you know, the others bring up like, ooh, that wasn't the best thing to say, because Iwabe is quite sensitive about that. And you know, it led obviously to Denki trying to get some advice from the others about how to climb the wall properly and do the whole, you know, putting chakra on the soles of your feet and walking up a wall. And everyone else kind of, it really established all of the kids, despite not being all that old, as being very, very skilled, in that it took, like, you know, Naruto so long to, you know, master that technique, that they kind of introduced that a little bit later than usual, and it even took Sasuke a little bit to kind of get a grasp on that. So just kind of establishing that these kids are very, very ahead, at least the main cast, you know, Shikadai, Boruto, and even Chocho, that they all know this and all have such I suppose a good chakra control compared to even I think what a lot of the characters from previously had, in that they all seem to get it on like a Sakura level from the original show. So that was pretty interesting to see. But their talk of chakra to someone who struggles with connecting with, you know, his chakra and using it all that effectively, Denki, I like that he kind of pointed that out, that he doesn't really get that because he doesn't have the best, you know, control over it. So what does it mean to like flow and connect my spiritual and physical energies together? Whereas like later on when Iwabe does help him, he basically just kind of helps him with the mentality of it, that like the idea basically was that Denki was kind of relying too much on taking a running start up at the wall, and most of his progress up the wall was because he was running at it and kind of panicking, and because he was trying to do it so energetically, that was actually adversely affecting him. And Iwabe basically just told him to, you know, like, calm down, just walk up the wall and keep it calm, cool, and act like you're just walking up a wall. Don't act like it's this crazy thing that you're now upside down and hanging from the soles of your feet. Just mentally, you know, take it as like walking up the wall is no different than walking on the ground. And that really helped Denki to kind of realize that once he has good enough control over his chakra, he has some level of control over it, he can get this. And then like before that, even though it like ultimately it didn't really lead to that much, but you know, it was fun how they used it. Metal deciding to help Denki a bit, and then Rock Lee coming in, so that was really fun to get our first kind of, you know, Boruto Rock Lee moment of just him coming in, saving Denki from falling off the cliff. And you know, getting to see Rock Lee kind of focus on like his idea of talking about youth a lot, him giving the suit, basically the classic green suit, to someone that he always just has them around to give away to people, with the joke being, you know, it's special order and that it's, you know, fireproof, breathable, and all this sort of stuff. And it was interesting that the next scene you almost expect Denki to be wearing it, but he's not. But then in the moment where you think he wouldn't have time to change into it, he does change into it, and it's just like, a fire. That's what they have to deal with. So the fire suit, the fireproof suit, is a very effective thing there. Um, but yeah, the actual conflict, I suppose, of the episode, of them trying to like have there be a little bit of an argument between Denki or an issue between Denki and Iwabe. Ultimately, I like that it wasn't anything fancy at all. It was just like, to some degree, Iwabe kind of being aware of what it is to like fail and have everyone progress without you, and him not wanting to get advice from Denki in case he hurts Denki's chance to actually progress. I thought that was an interesting kind of perspective on it, but ultimately the two of them really coming together and helping each other, as I explained, with Iwabe just kind of basically telling Denki to calm down and just treat it normally, and then Denki helping Iwabe with the kind of written test stuff by kind of noticing that, oh, he doesn't seem to have great concentration when he just normally reads a book, but when he focuses on something, which is usually when he's fighting using chakra, he has amazing concentration. So Denki comes up with the idea of like, okay, do the chakra wall walk, hang from the ceiling and read a book, and you see the very over exemplified, his eyes are huge when he's hanging off the wall and reading the book, and that's how he actually learns. It was this really funny moment of just like him upside down. Everyone outside is just watching this guy in the middle of this kind of restaurant, just standing on the top of the ceiling reading a book. And he's just like, oh, that's how you wire a switch. And that's obviously the thing that Iwabe uses to kind of prove that he has learned stuff from Denki. And it was just a little montage after that. You see Denki kind of standing on the side of a wall while teaching Iwabe, who's also on the wall. And just showing the progress that they make. And then the big moment is, of course, on their way to their exam. They encounter this building on fire, and the firefighters haven't arrived yet. There are kids in there. It's either they act or they don't. Iwabe decides to act. He jumps in first. Denki's a little overawed initially, but when Iwabe gets in there, there's 3 girls, and he knows he can't carry them all, and there's no sprinkler system working. So they kind of set it up immediately that, okay, what's going to happen here is Iwabe's probably going to wire the sprinklers back on, and that's going to be his test. And I think it was pretty clear what they were going to do with Denki coming in, but I like the idea of him taking the suit out, kind of thinking about it a little bit more, that, okay, I need my fireproof suit to go in, that then I'll be more effective. And the big thing is just that he's able to carry one of the girls out, and then Iwabe is strong enough to carry the other 2. And the big thing is that Denki is confident enough in his kind of wall walking abilities that he's able to carry someone down a building while walking that way. And they pass the test by virtue of basically, the reason you do the test is to prove that you are skilled enough in these techniques to use them in a real life situation. So they missed out on the test, but by doing basically what shinobis are going to do, basically, they passed the test by basically getting the core of the test correct. Even though, like, officially they didn't actually do the test. I like that big moment for Shino where he was able to kind of explain that to them. As well as, I like just in general kind of Boruto being very supportive throughout the episode. Even though he wasn't really a focus, he was kind of aware that he's so skilled in all of this stuff. He's not really the best suited to being able to try and explain things to a beginner who's struggling with it. So the best he can do is, buy people food and kind of think like, oh, the food I bought them, is that why they're not here, and stuff like that. But in general, like, you see the group really coming together, how supportive everyone is. At the end, when they pass, Cho comes up and gives them both the bag of potato chips. Just fun things to show that the group is really kind of bonding well together. But as I said, a simple episode, but a well done episode in that I think I appreciated getting a little bit more on Denki and Iwabe. I think very clearly when the teams are fully established, they are going to be on a team. And I assume it probably will be with Metal Lee. It kind of makes sense that you have Iwabe as the ninjutsu specialist, you have Metal as the taijutsu specialist, and then you have the more, planner, intelligent one of Denki, who's actually decent kind of all round, more or less, even though he's not the most physical. As a nice balance of just having two really physical people and then one really intelligent person. I think that actually works really well as a team, and it would fit because obviously in the Boruto movie we know that Metal Lee gets pretty far in the exams, but we don't know where the rest of his team is. We don't know who they are, so it makes sense to fit all that in with canon and so on. But yeah, overall solid episode. I wasn't expecting much from these kind of filler episodes that are transitioning us from the Ghost arc into the Gaiden, like Sarada, Sakura, Sasuke, Karin arc that's coming up. But I'm pretty impressed with this. Next week's episode, the preview didn't make it look all that amazing, but I am excited to see Sarada get a seemingly a complete focus of the episode, getting to see a little focus on Sakura. The actual plot of the episode I'm not sure about right now. The idea of like, oh, just transport this teddy bear to a hospital and Sarada forgets it, and that seems a little weird, but still, if they do it in a similar way to this, where it's just, we've seen a bit of Sarada, but we haven't seen enough of her in the show yet to really properly understand her character, so getting to see some time with her on her own and deal with just a little issue, maybe without the help of others, could be something really good to get for her as a character. But yeah, that's been the review for the episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, as well as what I said here in the review. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.